Episode 20, The Dawn of New Beginnings. The morning light washed over the village as Evelyn and Caleb made their way back, exhaustion mingling with an unfamiliar peace in their hearts. The Hollow Man was gone, his shadow no longer lingering over her, and for the first time in what felt like ages, Evelyn felt the weight of his darkness lifted. She looked at Caleb and saw the same quiet strength she'd leaned on throughout their ordeal. Now, it felt like an unbreakable bond, a light that had guided her out of the darkness. The village had heard whispers of the Hollow Man for generations, and some locals watched them return, wondering if they had truly seen the last of him. Evelyn, however, knew she had. She'd faced her greatest fear, and with Caleb's unwavering presence, she had found a part of herself that was stronger than any curse. As they reached her home, Evelyn felt a surge of gratitude. She turned to Caleb, her eyes filled with sincerity. "I couldn't have done this without you," she said softly. "You believed in me, even when I couldn't believe in myself." Caleb smiled, his eyes reflecting warmth and relief. "You were stronger than you realized, Evelyn. I just reminded you of what was already there." The days that followed were a time of healing. Evelyn spent her time reacquainting herself with the village she had once distanced herself from, her conversations with the townspeople tinged with newfound optimism. Caleb's companionship remained a steady presence, his support unwavering as she slowly rejoined the life she'd left behind. One morning, she took a solitary walk through the forest, retracing the path that had once led her to the Hollow Man's domain. The trees, once ominous and filled with shadows, seemed peaceful now, the dappled sunlight illuminating leaves and casting warm patterns on the forest floor. She felt the light inside her pulse in harmony with the nature around her, each step a reminder of how far she had come. Near the edge of the forest, she found the remains of an old, broken mirror, something she'd left behind in her initial encounter with the Hollow Man. She picked up a shard, seeing her reflection in its fractured surface. Her face looked calm, a quiet strength in her eyes that hadn't been there before. She let the shard drop, leaving the remnants of her past behind her as she walked back toward the village. A few weeks later, the village held its annual festival, a celebration of resilience and community. People bustled around the town square, their laughter and joy creating a festive air that Evelyn found infectious. The villagers noticed her, too, no longer the distant, wary figure she'd once been, but someone who now seemed fully present, part of the community once more. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the festivities, Caleb approached her with a smile. "Dance with me?" he asked, extending a hand. Evelyn felt her heart race, a warmth blooming in her chest as she took his hand. They joined the others in the square, their laughter mingling with the music, the weight of the past replaced by a sense of freedom and lightness. She moved with a newfound grace, her steps in sync with Caleb's, as if the darkness that had once haunted her had given way to a life filled with promise and possibility. After the dance, they walked through the village, the quiet evening embracing them as they wandered past familiar paths. Caleb looked over at her, his gaze thoughtful. "What will you do now, Evelyn?" She took a deep breath, considering his question. "I think it's time I finally share what I've learned. Maybe others need help facing their darkness. I want to make sure no one else feels alone." Caleb's smile was one of pride. "You'd be perfect for that. After all, you've shown that even the deepest fears can be overcome." The sky above was clear, stars scattered across the darkness like sparks of hope. For the first time in her life, Evelyn felt as though she had not only vanquished her demons but had found a purpose, a reason to keep going beyond mere survival. As they stood together under the vast expanse of stars, Evelyn felt the light within her pulse steadily, a beacon of her journey from fear to freedom. Caleb's hand intertwined with hers, grounding her in the present and reminding her of the strength she had gained, both from him and from within herself. Evelyn knew that shadows would always exist, and that life would have its challenges. But the Hollow Man's voice was silenced, his darkness banished to the recesses of memory, a part of her past that no longer held power over her. Together, she and Caleb walked forward, each step a testament to the strength and courage they had found in the darkest of places. The Hollow Man was gone, his influence diminished to a mere echo, and in his place was a light that burned brighter than ever before. The journey had transformed Evelyn, and as she stepped into her future, she knew that whatever shadows might come, she would face them with a strength forged from darkness and tempered by hope. And alongside Caleb, she was ready to embrace the dawn of new beginnings, a life that would no longer be haunted by fear but illuminated by the light she had discovered within. End of episode 20.